What an insane fight.
For years to come.
That was absolute insanity.
Curtis Blaydes and Josh Hokit forever linked as they go the distance. That was pure.
So Curtis Blaydes suffers a fractured orbital and nose and is lost in UFC 327, guys. This fight may have just changed the entire UFC heavyweight division, and I'm not talking about it in a good way. Welcome to Duality 7X. I'm your host, Shiraz. UFC 327 was off the hook, guys. What an amazing, amazing card. So much action, guys. I can't wait to break it down. I'm going to talk about the Curtis Blaydes fight, and then of course, and then tomorrow I'm going to talk about Yuri Prochazka and Carlos Ulberg and what happened in that one, which was absolutely wild, guys. But this fight was wild. It was beyond comprehension, and I mean, this fight was like, I mean, it was about timing. It was about look. This is what happens when you have two seriously big dudes, a loose cannon, a veteran, hooking up, getting together in the ring, and it was just pure chaos. Curtis Blaydes didn't just lose in UFC 327, guys. He may have lost something a lot bigger. And I wanted to do this video yesterday. I wanted to do it live, guys. I wanted to talk about, because there's something really bigger here. I'll explain why all of this matters, especially in the UFC heavyweight division in just a minute. But I was really compelled. I was really taken back because this fight just kind of blew my mind. It was one of the highlight fights, definitely, of UFC 327. So I want to talk about kind of what went down. As you all are aware, Curtis Blaydes, I mean, this guy's 19-6 MMA record. He's got a 14-6 UFC record. He's a proven top contender. This is a guy who's been right there knocking on the door for a title shot for years. And then across from him in the octagon is Josh Hokit. Wildly controversial. He's 9-0. He's undefeated, and he's just 3-0 in the UFC, guys, and he's still relatively new to the stage, right? On paper, this felt like a classic test. You got a veteran gatekeeper like Curtis Blaydes versus a rising prospect in Hokit, and what you got was just pure, unadulterated chaos. Guys, I don't even know how these guys were able to last as long as they did on their feet, even after the first round. I mean, this was not a fight, guys. This was a war. It was a battle. It was back and forth. No breaks, no safety. Blaydes gets hurt multiple times, guys. I mean, he looked close to being finished multiple times, but he kept pushing forward. I mean, there was blood everywhere. It was just pure toughness. Like, in Hokit rose to the moment. By the end of 3 rounds, both men, apparently, according to the UFC, combined for 354 significant strikes. That's a new UFC heavyweight record. I just want all of that to sink in for a second, because heavyweights in the UFC are on notice. All right? Heavyweights landing shots like they were lightweights, that's not normal, guys. That's damage. These guys were slugging away, and they did not stop. I don't know if they put in Energizer bunnies in them, if Merab Valishvili kind of gave them some of his, drinks or whatever, but these guys were on fire. In the end, Curtis Blaydes lost by unanimous decision. So the veteran gatekeeper, I don't know. I mean, he will fight. He will live on to fight another day. But honestly, the result almost feels secondary to everything that happened, because both of these fighters were immediately sent to the hospital. There were no interviews, no post-fight comments. These guys just wanted to get out there. Their teams wanted to get him out of there and straight into medical, and that's where they ended up. And then, and look, we know why. I mean, it was clear to see. And if you guys watched the fight, if you haven't, go stream it, guys, and you'll be blown away. Try not to eat anything while you watch it. It was brutal. Curtis Blaydes suffered a fractured orbital and a broken nose. That's some serious stuff, man. And at 35 years old, that stuff doesn't heal too well and heal too fast. And here's where things really, really kind of get serious, because injuries like that, as I just mentioned, especially for heavyweights, it takes a long time to heal up. They aren't just physical setbacks. These could be career altering, perhaps maybe even career ending things. And look, the recovery time, it's unknown. The return date, unknown. Momentum, completely gone. Out the window, guys. Yeah, it was something else. And look, there's a bigger picture in all this, all right? You know, this is kind of where we all need to zoom out a bit, all right? Because look, Curtis Blaydes was in that dangerous position in the division, okay? A good enough to beat almost anyone, all right? This veteran gatekeeper, he was chasing that one big opportunity. He wanted a title shot. That's what he wanted. For years, he's been waiting. And now he's forced to sit out, right? While the division will continue to press and move forward. So the heavyweight division right now is not slow. There's a number of big dudes who all have what it takes. Okay, you've got contenders lining up. You got new names that are on the rise, right? Big fights are being made very, very quickly, and if you're inactive, you will get passed up for opportunity. That's just how it rolls. Unfortunately for Blaydes, that's just how the game works. Now, I can't speak to the efficacy of what happens from an operational standpoint within the UFC hierarchy organization. That's a decision that the UFC will have to make. But the real question really comes down to is, did this fight just end Curtis Blaydes' title window for good? Because when I look at the timing, right, the opponent, and the amount of damage that he took, I mean, this might be one of those turning points, honestly, that we may fully understand, perhaps if not now, but months down the road. And it's unfortunate, but I mean, there's always like your business industry kind of side of things to it, as associated with all this as well. And a lot of eyes are pointing at Josh Hokit right now. Hokit, as I mentioned, as I alluded to earlier, has got a 9-0 MMA record. He's now 3-0 in the UFC, and he went to battle. Sorry, scratch that. He went to war with one of the top contenders within the UFC heavyweight division, and he walked away with the win. He walked away with the win. And that's the kind of stuff that the UFC is looking at. The brass of the UFC, they're looking for rising stars like that. That's how stars are made. So from a business standpoint, the UFC now has a new heavyweight contender, right? Or possible future champion that can build around. I mean, action fights, he's got durability, he's got momentum, and he just doesn't slow down. And he brings a lot of value, a lot of entertainment to the UFC. Look, both of these guys combined 354 significant strides. As I mentioned earlier, this is not just history making for the UFC. It is, but it's marketable. That's marketable. That's your value proposition. That's how you get pushed to the top, right? And meanwhile, Curtis Blaydes becomes a tougher sell, because now he's not good or good enough, because now he just took a massive amount of damage, and now his future is uncertain. And that's scary stuff. I like Blaydes. Curtis Blaydes, I thought, is definitely, I still think he could be a future champion, but that was a very incredibly tough test for him. I thought he was going to walk away with the win. All right. And I mean, look, unfortunately, this is the harsh reality of combat sports. One fight can shift your entire career. Blaydes went from being right there in the mix to now fighting time, recovery, and now trying to stay relevant. Relevant in an organization that's moving super fast. And at heavyweight, where power is the equalizer, it is, okay? So, because look, guys, damage adds up fast. It adds up super fast. And if you can't hack it, you're kind of on the crossroads, okay? And I keep saying this, guys, this fight, in my opinion, was a perfect example of something we don't really talk nearly enough about. And not all fights are going to be fight of the year contenders, but they could be really good for your career. But for fans, this fight was super amazing. I can't believe what I just saw. I mean, for fighters, this is the kind of stuff that can take years off your timeline, right? And in Blaydes' case, it may have just cost him his last real run at the title. Unfortunately, it's sad because I'm a fan of Blaydes. This guy has an incredible MMA and UFC record, and he's been waiting, and the poor guy, like, it just wasn't his night. And so, yeah, I mean, Josh Hokit got the win. And look, the real story honestly comes down to is if, look, what did this fight actually do for Curtis Blaydes? Because I think it took a lot out of him. I think it did more damage to him than good. And look, in this sport, it's not necessarily about who just wins, right? It's about what you have left over for the next fight or for the next opportunity that comes your way. And at some point, you're going to have to take a step back. You're going to have to think about things, reevaluate things. You got to look at things from a different perspective. The question is it worth it? Is it worth it for him to continue? Like, I want to know what you guys think. Like, did this fight do more damage than good to Curtis Blaydes? Does Curtis Blaydes still have a chance at a title? Does he have one more run left in him? I want to know your thoughts. I'm so conflicted with this because Josh Hokit was an a-hole during this whole thing, his ordeal. He's very bizarre. He's weird. He in his pressers, he was acting like he had some kind of like mental issue or something. He was acting like a little baby at times, acting like he was very feeble and weak. And then all of a sudden he starts going crazy, and then he just flips the script, man. Like, this guy is a monster. Curtis Blaydes walked into a horror film and fought a very scary guy in the name of Josh Hokit. Josh Hokit's one bad mofo. This guy is the guy that you want to bring with you, walking down those alleys and streets late at night to get to where you need to get to, and not worry whether or not you're carrying any kind of a weapon or anything to defend yourself, because you got Josh Hokit next to you. That's all you need is just Josh Hokit. He will beat the snot out of everybody that's around you. You may get beaten down yourself, but he'll still get you out of there in one piece, okay? But now he's a big part of the UFC heavyweight title picture, in my opinion. I think this is going to be a tough go right now for Curtis Blaydes. I think he's back home now from the hospital. I think he got a flight out, and he's back home. He's recovering. He's going to need some time because, I mean, the damage, the business implications behind this whole fight, he's going to have to reassess all of those things. He's going to have to look at things from a different perspective, from a different lens. He may even want to think about switching up his careers, if that's possible. I like him. I'm a fan of him. I think he's a great fighter. And I always believe that sometimes fighters just have off nights, and that's what this could have been. But there were multiple times where he almost got knocked, you know what, out, and but he managed to survive. And I don't know if he did more damage to his health by getting, you know, by continuing to stay on his feet and exchange with Josh Hokit. Guys, it was great, and it was tough to watch at the same time. Anyways, that's my take on things. I want to hear your thoughts on it. I think I already laid the question. Do you think Blaydes still has one more run left in him? Do you think he still has an opportunity for a title shot? And do you think he should return? I guess those are my questions for you guys. Look, if you enjoyed this breakdown, please smash a like and subscribe. Hit the notifications so you guys never miss a beat. I've got some more exciting videos for you guys. I want to talk about Yuri Prochaska and Carlos Ulberg. Holy crap, what an unbelievable battle that was, guys. What a twist. What a twist. I can't wait to share that story with you guys. And then also, I believe on Tuesday, I'll be talking about John Jones and about how there might be a possibility of John Jones returning to the UFC. Well, anyways, we'll catch you guys in the next video. Enjoy the rest of your evening. The pleasure was all mine. Have a great day.